All right, boys, we are back, and it's time to continue year one with our Pittsburgh Penguins. Second day in office, so it's time to make some moves. It kind of sucks because I already did some recording and I lost the footage, so I got to go back and do it all again. That's all right. So at least I know the trades that I made. I made some trades. I won't ruin it for you, don't worry. But before we get to that, I just want to clear up something because I was reading the comments, and we're never all going to come to the same conclusion when it comes to player overalls. And a lot of people complaining about Sidney Crosby only being 93 overall. I guess I should explain myself. Some people saying he should be 95, 97. He should be the highest overall player in the game. And, that statement about Crosby being the best player in the world, how people just throw that out like it's nothing. I think, when it comes to the regular season, he's certainly going to put up the most points. But there's 3 seasons in hockey. There's the regular season, the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, and the Stanley Cup Finals. And you know what? In the last 6 years, has Crosby really done anything in the playoffs? I mean, sure, he's put up some points here or there, but there have been better first-line centers to me. There's been Patrice Bergeron, Jonathan Toews, Anze Kopitar, These guys, to me, have been better performers during the playoffs. So you can't just say Crosby's the best player in the world, because the best player in the world shows up at all times during the regular season or during the NHL season. And let me just set up a scenario for you right now. You're the coach. Your team's up by 1. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7. 20 seconds left. Face off in your zone. You can choose Crosby, Toews, Kopitar, or Bergeron to go out there, all right? Who do you choose? If you choose Crosby, I respect your opinion, but I go with the one of the other 3, all right? And to me, by saying that, by answering the question that way, Crosby is not automatically the best player in the world. No doubt, he'll put up the most points during the regular season, which is why I have his offensive categories as being the best. But physical and defense, nah, man, you got to bring him back down to earth a little bit. So he's 93 overall. I'm going to leave him right there. All right, just going to have to deal with it. But don't worry, he's not going anywhere. I'm not going to trade him, so don't worry about his trade value. So we've taken care of that now. Now I'll show you the rosters, what we have to do. We were already going over it in the last video. Bortuzzo, I'll send you down. There you go. And forwards, send down Joe Vitale. I already taken a look at their stats. All right, so there it is. We got the lines already. Kunitz, Crosby, Hornqvist, Dupuis, Malkin, Bennett. So what we want to do is we really want to stack up the first line. I was reading some comments, and you guys were saying that Bobby Ryan would be the player that we should go for. Even though his trade value is a little bit high, it'd be perfect to play alongside of Sidney Crosby. You can go Crosby, Kunitz, and Bobby Ryan, and move Hornqvist down. Some people were saying to go after Alexander Semin for Malkin and Jordan Eberle for Crosby. I don't think I want to go after Alexander Semin because we already have a Hornqvist, and I want to get a stud first liner, so to get an Alexander Semin, we could do it, but is his lack of defensive categories going to hurt us? Bobby Ryan's got a little bit of physical and a little bit of defensive awareness, and he's still getting better as a sniper, right? So I think that's a better fit. Yes, his trade value is a lot higher, but he's 26 years old, so he's a franchise player, same age as a Crosby or Malkin, so it is perfect. I think Semin's like a 29-year-old, all right, which is still fine, but he's 84 overall. That's why when I look at Hornqvist, I think he's the exact same player, all right? So we'll leave Hornqvist in there. Bo Bennett is definitely somebody that we can trade, though, all right? And when it comes to defense, the way I see it would be Oli Mata on the first line, Paul Martin with Ehrhoff. I want to trade Paul Martin, but for the right player. I don't, he's fine, but I would like to move that trading asset before it lowers. And then we can go Despres and Scuderi for the top 6, which isn't bad. All right, but the main thing would be to find a first line right wing. Now, it was Bobby Ryan or Jordan Eberle. I didn't want Alexander Semin. I don't want to go after a Jordan Eberle either because we went after him in what's it called? With the Quebec City Ace Nordiques. Got to get a new roster, right? So let's try to go for a Bobby Ryan here. All right, and I want to say let's try. I already went for him. And it's a lot. I mean, Jesus, you have to give up a lot for a Bobby Ryan. So, the last video I was saying I want to get somebody where I don't have to give up too much of my roster, right? But a guy like Bobby Ryan, his trade value is all the way up there. So, I really wanted to make sure that this trade made sense. All right, not just get him just to get him because then we have no more trading assets. We have a few trading assets right now. We got some prospect defensemen. We have our first overall pick. All right, but I wanted to try and replace if I'm sending a roster player out, I want to bring a roster player in. All right, try to bring 2 in, actually. So Bobby Ryan, I think what's it called? The base for the trade would be a Bo Bennett. All right, because that makes sense for both teams. They want a Bo Bennett. He's 21 years old. Bobby Ryan's 26 years old. They're both snipers. It makes sense, all right? And he's got a decent trade value, and they want him. No way in hell that's going through just like that, though, okay? So next up, what I wanted to do is I take a look at this guy, Brendan Suter, right? Now, he's 83 overall. He's a center, and he's a two-way forward. Now, he's got a really good physical and defensive category, but, you know, I've noticed with third liners, if you have an offensive third-line center, he might take points away from your first and second line. And with this team, I think we should kind of, you know, the third line should be all defensive, and same with the fourth line, and our top 6 should be all offensive. It should all be about Crosby and Malkin out there. So I don't want to have a goal-scoring third line. And when I look at a guy like Brendan Suter, you know, his trade value is a little bit up there. And a guy like Gotch, he's perfect for the fourth line, and he's got no trade value. So I wanted to find like another third liner with low trade value so I could get Brendan Suter out of here and get a little bit back, right? So I added him to this deal. I wanted to see if Ottawa would have any centers that could come back our way, and Zach Smith would be that perfect player because I can make a little bit of trade value out of this trade, right? He's 25 years old. He's still getting better. He's a grinder instead of a two-way forward, so he's not going to be putting up points. And his defensive and physical categories are slightly better than Suter's. Now, his offensive categories are not. His skating is not. But he's a better face-off taker, and his physical and defensive categories are slightly better. So I'm thinking, you know, a better penalty killer. I can maybe make this trade go through a little bit more. And again, I'm sending a roster player out, and I'm getting another roster player back in. All right, so we're not giving up prospects here. All right, so we're still trying to build up for this trade. So Brendan Suter for Zach Smith, all right? Some people may have a problem with that, but we're getting Bobby Ryan. That's the big fish here. I could go after a Jerome McGinley, but I know you guys want Bobby Ryan, so I'm trying to make this happen. All right, we're holding on to Kunitz for this. Dupuis, he has to go in this trade to help it go through. All right, now this one hurts, but we had to do it. All right, with this one, I looked for forwards, and I went for the overall just to find anybody that could help out, and Colin Greening would be the best bet. 81 overall, 27 years old, two-way forward. All right, his defensive and physical categories are not bad. All right, his offense category is a little bit higher up there, which, you know, you don't need it, but basically just the replacement for a Pascal Dupuis. We need a little bit of trade value to make this trade go through. They don't want Pascal Dupuis, all right? But there it is. There's his trade value, all right? So we want to make that go through for Colin Greening. Anyone who's thinking that that trade will go through the way it is, I'll just show you quickly. No, it does not. You need to sweeten the touch a little bit. So this is how I sweetened it. Watch this now. All right, this trade, this move was awesome when I first saw it. All right, so Chris Phillips, 82 overall. 35 years old, 2.5 mil for another 3 years. Not that it matters because we don't have salary cap on. All right, there's his individual stats. Now remember, he's 35 years old, but he's still got the 4-star potential. All right, his defensive category and his physical category. So watch this now. This is why this was awesome. So you get like a Chris Phillips, right? You put him in there. They want to give him up, and then you take a look at our players, and they want a Rob Scuderi, who's 82 overall, 34 years old, 4 years left. All right, and he's 34 with 3-star potential. So you're getting maybe a 1-year older player, but he's got better potential, pretty much the same stats, maybe slightly better, and a better contract. All right, and they want to give him up, so you're helping out with the trade value here. They want Scuderi, and they want to give up Phillips, so that will help out. Dupuis with Greening will help out. Suter for Smith will help, and we can get that Bobby Ryan and not lose any roster players. All right, so that's the way I see this trade. I think it'll go through like that. I forget if I added a draft pick. Let's see. Will it go through? Okay, I still have to add a draft pick, so I'll do that. All right, so we'll go with a third. Oh, I might have to give up a second here. Will a third help it go through? Let's see. No. All right, so we're going to have to give up that second, all right? So Bo Bennett for Bobby Ryan, Brendan Suter for Zach Smith, Dupuis for Colin Greening, Scuderi for Phillips, so roster spots all throughout, and then the second, which they get. All right, so boom, there you go. So let me know what you guys think about that trade. I think it's it's not one of the best trades I've made, but it's a solid trade to get a Bobby Ryan, and now we still have a guy like Paul Martin. We still have our prospects. Hang on, let me show you. We still have our where are they? Scott Harrington, who's got a decent trade value, and also Derek Pouliot, who's got decent trade value. We still have a Paul Martin, who's got decent trade value. All right, 4, 5, 6, and we still have our first overall pick. All right, and we have Bobby Ryan now. So that was my mindset with that trade. All right, we had to give up a little bit. So that's why we don't have Suter anymore. Dupuis is gone as well. But there you go. Bobby Ryan alongside of Crosby and Kunitz. Malkin with Hornqvist. A problem now is we don't have a second line left wing because we gave up a Pascal Dupuis. And Colin Greening doesn't really replace a Pascal Dupuis too well. He can play in there for now. Oh, you know what? I think I might want to go Spalling on the second line. Because he's got the potential, and if he has a good year, maybe he turns out to be a good player. So go Spalling on the second line. All right, Blake Como with Zach Smith, Colin Greening, Adams, Gotch, and Pyatt. All right. Now, I don't want to make any more trades right now because I want to see how this team works out during the regular season. We don't have too many trading assets left. I know I need a second line left wing for Malkin, but let's just see how the team does so that we can make the trade and fill the void that we need. Or, mid-season, a left wing comes on the trading block and we can get it for a lot easier. Right now, let's just see what Bobby Ryan on this team does, and we'll see if Malkin and Hornqvist can help out Spalling on that second line. Because now we have the depth. We have Colin Greening back there. Well, we don't have the depth, but we have a defensive third line and a defensive fourth line. So the offense is all going to come from our top six. Okay? Now, hang on one second. I don't want to lose that again, actually. Hang on. All right, that's much better. So there's our offense, defense. Now, Chris Letang is going to play alongside of Olli Mata. Now, he may get the plague, but I need that two-way defenseman. I need the offensive awareness. I need the passing. All right, I want this guy to get better. I don't want to play Paul Martin on the first line. It's going to be, in my opinion, I think it'll be too many penalties. He's fine to play on the second line with Christian Ehrhoff. And now we have Chris Phillips with Simone Despres instead of Rob Scuderi, okay? So he's a little bit older, but you know what? I think that works out for us. All right, there you go. So let's, Ehrhoff, Letang, Crosby. We're going to, no. We're going to keep Crosby and Malkin 1-2 as the centers, all right? Now, people may get angry at Malkin this year, or people may say that I'm ruining Malkin because he may only have like a 65-point season. You know how it's crazy like that in this game. But don't look at that. If he has a 60-point season and we're like 8th in the East, then it's a problem. But if he has a 60-point season, we're top 3 in the NHL, then it's fine. Okay, so I'm looking for that. If I want him to get points, obviously you play him alongside of Crosby and they just light it up. But I want him to really help out offensively here. So Hornqvist, there you go. Crosby, Ryan, Hornqvist, Malkin on a depth scale. I want him to help out on a depth scale. Okay, so penalty kill, we're not going to use Crosby and Malkin on the penalty kill. It's going to be Zach Smith and Gotch, and also Colin Greening and Blake Como. All right, just show you, I don't know if I showed you guys these. Blake Como's defensive and physical stats make him a good penalty killer, and Colin Greening, same thing, like mid-80s, 84s in there. So it's not the greatest, but we'll use them on the penalty kill. I don't want to use Crosby and Malkin on the penalty kill. It's unrealistic. So Letang and Martin. I'll give Letang a little bit of a break on the penalty kill here. We'll go Chris Phillips and Paul Martin, Letang and Mata on the second line penalty kill. All right, but let's just give Chris, because he's playing first line minutes everywhere else. Let's give him a little bit of a break. 3-man penalty kill, Zach Smith with Gotch. There you go. 4-on-4 lines. Crosby with Bobby Ryan, Malkin with Hornqvist. I want to see what Malkin and Hornqvist can do together. And then Zach Smith with Chris Kunitz, all right? Phillips and Despres. Let me switch out Martin there with Mata. Very nice. Okay, there you go. Extra attackers, Crosby and Malkin. Goaltenders, Marc-Andre Fleury. There you go. Here's our AHL team. Let me just see if there's anybody playing. Yeah, everyone's playing. This guy doesn't need to play. He's 4.5 Red Star. So I really don't care about the AHL team, but you know what? They're going to have a really good year, the AHL team. That's a lot of mid-70s that they have here. Oh, yeah, they'll have a good year. And especially with that goalie, Zatkov. All right. So there you go, boys. There are our lines for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And don't you worry, I know you want to see some simulating in this video. That's why we're not going to do any more trades. All right, so let me just make sure the trading block. Yeah, we're all clear. So let us do some simulating with this team. Scouting report. Let me just send my scout out to the OHL. We all know what who the players are in year number 1, year number 2, year number 3 for the prospects, so it doesn't really matter. Blah, blah, blah. What else do I need to do? I'm pretty sure they're off, but it's always something I always do before I always simulate in my own GM modes. Let me just make sure that injuries are off. There you go. Injuries are off. I didn't change anything accidentally. Superstar Hardcore? No, we're good. All right, so injuries are off. Our team has been made with Bobby Ryan on the first line. All right, let us see how the Pittsburgh Penguins play. Now, it's going to be hard to tell. We all know the first month can go sour very quickly. You know, it's a simulation engine at the end of the day. It's a little bit coincidence sometimes. But I really want to see what Bobby Ryan does alongside of a Sidney Crosby. Okay? I mean, Jesus. He's got what he needs now. And he's got a little bit of size alongside of him as well. I mean, I don't know if Bobby Ryan would be considered like a power forward. I know he's got some size on him. I know in previous NHL games he's been listed as a power forward. All right, but is he more just like a Max Pacioretty or a JVR? You know, a big body guy who likes to score goals. But still, that big body might be able to create some space for a Sidney Crosby when he goes into the corners. You know, we'll see what happens here. So Crosby's got a legitimate first-line winger alongside of him. But Malkin, he's lost his James Neal. He doesn't have a James Neal beside of him anymore, right? That trade was made with Ray Shero before I came into office. Freaking, what's his name? Neal for Hornqvist and Spalling. So we'll see how Hornqvist plays alongside of Evgeny Malkin. And actually, Spalling's alongside of him as well. So we've actually, traded away Neal for Malkin's 2 new line mates this year. So it should be very interesting. I like what I see off the beginning, though. 4-0-0. I shouldn't have said that because now I probably jinxed us, but still, got to do it. Yeah, I did jinx us. But there you go. Sidney Crosby doing what he does during the regular season, finally. All right. Well, why am I saying finally? It's the first time I've done simulating. But you know what I mean. It's good to see. You know, that's one thing that could go wrong for us. If Crosby's not producing, then what the hell? You know, then you really have to rethink everything. But if Crosby's a point-per-game player, and if Malkin's a 60-point guy, then you do have some good goal scoring on this team. When I look at this team, and, you know, you compare them to maybe the San Jose Sharks, the year 10 that we had, right? That team in the last 3 years was a stud of a defensive team because of the depth that we had, the goaltender that we had, right, and the defensive core. We do not have depth here in Pittsburgh, all right? We do not. We are a up-front, run-and-gun type team. All right, I want to turn it into a little bit of a defensive team if I can make some trades, but you can't do that in 1 or 2 years. So getting a guy like Bobby Ryan, you know, really making that push for an offensive team. We need these guys to consistently score. But I don't want to guarantee it right now, because it may be immature, but come the playoffs, if we are lucky enough to make the playoffs, which we should, you know, if a round happens where a guy like Crosby or Malkin go quiet, then we are in big-time trouble because we don't have the third or fourth line to take over, and we don't have the defenseman to take over either. And a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury, he may falter in the playoffs, as he's done in the past, right? So it is a dangerous thing to go into the playoffs with just an offensive team. I like going into the playoffs with a combination, but if I had to choose one, it would be the goals against. But I don't see that happening this year. We need to score goals, so it's going to be an interesting year. Definitely an interesting year. All right, we're starting to lose some games now. You see what I mean? At least we got some early wins. That's already 1 month, right? Yeah, I could stop it right there. All right, let's stop it right there and just take a quick look at the stats. We'll go another month though, but we'll just take a quick look at the stats quickly. Just a quick. Take a quick look. Goals for per game. We can compare them when we come back. Goals for per game. So we're above 3 goals for per game. As that's what we need. All right, we need to rely on our goals for this year. Goals against, 22nd in the NHL. See what I mean? So you can go nuts about, you know, trade away Fleury, trade this guy, trade that guy. We don't have the assets to just go nuts with trading, right? So we got to figure out a way to make that better. Power play percentage, 22nd in the NHL. Penalty kill percentage, 22nd, so maybe increasing our penalty kill might help us out. So, you know, that trading asset, maybe you do want to get a defensive stud for that second line so he can also help out on the penalty kill first line, you know what I mean? Instead of a Spalling and a Greening. Home record 7-2-0, our away record 2-4-0, and our last 10 5-5-0, okay? So, don't worry about it. Still very early on in the season. We're not going to go crazy on our players just yet. Stats here, forwards. All right, so Crosby, 15 points in 15 games played. Malkin, 12 points in 15 games played. Hornqvist, 12. Bobby Ryan, only 10. All right, so Chris Kunitz, 6, and Greening, 9. All right, and then here's the depth goal scoring. So at least we're getting some points from back there. But it's got to be Crosby and Malkin. They've got to be point-per-game players. All right, Crosby's doing it. I mean, if only they produce like they do in real life, 100-point players, but whatever. Chris Letang, 11, all right, and here's going to be an interesting stat to keep an eye on. Marc-Andre Fleury, 2.51 goals against average, and a save percentage of 91.12. Oh, man. Still early, though. It's still early. Let's not get on him just yet. We all know he's going to receive a lot of hate in this series. So let's just continue. But hang on. Let me just make sure I don't lose this. All right. That's much better. So let's go one more month here. In the next video, then we can go from that spot to the trade deadline. And maybe the next video we make a trade at the beginning as well. So let's just go one more month here up to December. There you go. We'll go all the way up to December 3rd. All right. And we'll see if we can pull this together. We started off pretty good. We were 4-0-0. Started to falter a little bit here. All right. Now, I guarantee you, if we put Crosby and Malkin on the first line, they'd both be above point per game. All right. I could even because injuries are off, I could even put Malkin and Crosby on both the power play lines, and they'd have like 120-point seasons. But that's not realistic. We can't do that. That's cheap. So we got to use Crosby and Malkin the way we used McFarland and DeCall. You know, 1 and 2, keep them split the whole time. They're both 93 overall. Maybe come the playoffs if we need like a crazy power play. We need to increase our power play. We can put them on the same line. But I think that, you know, splitting them up would be the best bet long term. Because if one line goes quiet, you need the other line to step up. I don't want to put them together. It would be interesting, though, just to see one season with them together. Because Malkin is a sniper. Crosby is a playmaker, right? So, even with the changes that I made. So, it would be interesting. But I want to keep them split up. Man, losing games now, though. And we're losing games that we're scoring goals in, too. Marc-Andre Fleury. See what I mean, boys? I didn't want to jinx the playoff run. You never know with this team. We may not be good enough defensively. That's a scary thought. So, Bobby Ryan, the Bobby Ryan trade. It's hard to say if it helped our team. I mean, look at that. We lose 8-3. Holy shit. We are not a defensive team. We got to figure that out. You know what I could do? Here. Let me quickly do one thing here. Scouting assignment. I could move up Paul Martin to the first line. Maybe. You never know. That could help out defensively, okay? So let me just try it out. Maybe Ole Matt is not ready for it. So Paul Martin, get your ass up there. And let's split up the power play. There you go. Let's give Ehrhoff the second line power play. I'll move Mata up. All right, so we'll give Paul Martin first line time, maybe just to help out the goals against a little bit, because we're scoring enough goals to win. We're getting we lose 8-3, you know, we won 5-3, we lost 5-4. We're scoring goals 1-2-1. There you go. That's a game Marc-Andre Fleury had for us. All right, but a guy like Ernest Chiarelli, that was the definition of a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender, right? Marc-Andre Fleury is not getting it done right now. All right, our offense didn't show up that game. Man, 14-11. Keep it. You got to get some wins, man. Keep the offense up, man. There you go. 4-1. Our offense is definitely scoring goals, though. Thank God. We need that. And they're scoring in bunches as well. When they get a game, like it's like 5 goals or 4 goals. All right, well, 2 goals right there. Never mind. 15-12-0 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, man. Oof. I'm starting to regret that Bobby Ryan trade. Could have traded for like a few more roster players. Just got like a Jerome McGinley. Would have done the same thing. Oh, man. All right, so we're up here in December. I dare not go another day. 16-12-0. We've got to get this back on track before we go any further. We're not exactly halfway through the season yet, but we're coming up on the halfway mark, and that's the time where you do not want to be, you know, faltering with your team. So right now we are in second in our division, which is good news. We can still win our division, and we're only 3 points behind Boston in the East. Yeah, okay, so we're up there, and it doesn't look like a lot of teams have taken off this year. A lot of even teams, which is good news. All right, so we're not in a bad spot. We do have 16 wins, which is good. All right. I mean, it's, you know, if say the record is 16-6-6, it's looking really good, right? So 12 losses at this point isn't horrible. It's just that there are 12 regulation losses and no overtime losses. All right, but to have 16 wins at this point, it's actually pretty good. All right, so I'm fine with those stats, but I'm telling you, boys, it's the goals against right now. And you know what? Hornfist is leading our team for freaking, what the hell? All right, so let's go team standings here, and let's do a whole wrap up. So goals for per game, 4th in the NHL. Now it has dropped down, but I still think that that's a fine stat. All right, we're scoring goals, and I don't think we need to worry about dropping to like 15th in the NHL. I think we're always going to be consistently top 10 for goals for, especially with Crosby and Malkin on the top 6. It's this stat that we need to get under control. 15th in the NHL. So it has been going up, which is good news, but 2.64 is not good enough. You want to be below 2.25 if you want to be, you know, a top-notch team. All right, and that's ways away. So I'm thinking, you know, that second line, Spalling, I think, you know, maybe get a defensive type player that with really good defensive stats, you know, and screw offense because we're scoring enough. And then that player can then also play in the penalty kill. So you're hitting two birds with one stone. All right. Power play percentage, 27th in the NHL for power play percentage. Wow. Our power play is not clicking at all. So maybe Crosby and Malkin on the same line, but maybe we're also... no, that's just, yeah, we have a horrible power play, but we're still scoring goals. So we score 5-on-5, but we don't score power play. Very interesting. And penalty kill, 27th in the NHL. So those lines with Colin Greening is not getting it done. I don't want to use Malkin and Crosby on the penalty kill, though, okay? I feel like that's unrealistic just because their overalls are higher. Throw them in there. No. I don't think they kill penalties on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we got to find penalty killers. We got to find somebody in their mid-80s who's like 87, 88 overall defensive awareness, at shot blocking, stick checking, and get them on the penalty kill because we need help there. All right, so the penalty kill needs help. Maybe some defensive defensemen for the penalty kill as well. Who knows? Our home record 9-5-0, our away record 7-7-0, and our last 10 5-5-0. Okay, so our goals against is the problem this year, boys. That's a hard stat to fix in 1 year too, man. Definitely a hard stat to fix. Could be a lot of things. Could be Marc-Andre Fleury. Could be our first line. I don't know what it is, man. Crosby's got 25 points in 28 games played. All right, so point per game. Yeah, he's there. He's there. Guarantee you a guy like Chris Kunitz is holding back a guy like Crosby because he's a two-way forward, right? Doesn't have that shooting category. But we can still trade him, all right? I wanted to get through a little bit of the season before we go nuts with the trading. But the good news is that Patrick Hornqvist is proving to be a fine line mate for Evgeny Malkin. 24 points, 23 points, and 28 games played as second liners. I'm fine with that, all right? So Hornqvist is getting it done. Bobby Ryan, 21 points. I think he's fine. So these four are all getting it done. I think what's holding them back is their left line or left wing line mates, all right? Spalling has more points than Chris Kunitz, for God's sakes. All right, so Spalling's not doing bad on the second line, actually. It's Chris Kunitz that's not doing that good. But Chris Kunitz, you know, maybe I should use Chris Kunitz on the penalty kill. I didn't even think about that. All right, so interesting. All right, here's our depth. There you go. Defenseman, Chris Letang's got 16 points in 28 games played. Oli Mata's 12. All right, here's the plus. Paul Martin's the only minus player. Fucking hell, Paul Martin. And goaltenders, 2.23 goals against average. All right, so he has lowered it, which is good news. Save percentage, 92. Okay, so he's gotten his stats a little bit better. All right, Marc-Andre Fleury, your stats aren't looking horrible anymore. You have gotten them at least respectable, all right? But we're 30 games played in, all right? So basically 30 games played in. So let me know what you guys think about the season, the way it's going. It's kind of hard to tell with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, I think we could go on a winning streak. But right now, when I look at our team, I think our two top six left wingers are shady right now. All right, I think Chris Kunitz would be fine as a second line, but then we have a big void as a first line left wing. It can't be Spalling. And also penalty kill. I think we need some penalty killers. Maybe some defensive penalty killers. Maybe some offensive penalty killers. You know, I don't know what it is. I think we got to go with Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't think it's smart to make a goaltender change right now. I think you got to improve your roster. All right, so goals against is the #1 problem right now, boys. So what should we do? Let me know, and I will see you in the next video.